Would you like to answer that, Bong?
Media,
cortisol,
dopamine
of euphoria,
triggering
hours,
anticipation,
serotonin,
chemical, pleasure.
You may start to feel anxious,
Motivation and concentration.
feel those negative emotions.
times because the average person picks up their phone 52 times per day. After 12 hours of quitting.
by the confines of our skin.
triggering
Puts us into states of readiness, anticipation, looking, seeking, etc. But the acting out of the compulsion merely serves to increase the obsession. The obsession leads to a compulsion, so the obsession is a thought, the compulsion is a behavior.
Impulses and urges.
Typically, it makes us feel satisfied, sated, and more quiescent, comfortable with what we have in our own immediate sphere and within us.
Key component in the brain that's involved in helping us to control
Of the compulsion.
Kind of waiting for something interesting to happen.
Dopamine hit after dopamine hit.
Consuming media impacts our everyday lives.
triggering
Pleasure
impulses
Anxious,
and urges.
consume it.
of euphoria, chemical.
Media,
cortisol,
We often hear that, that social media is getting dopamine hit after dopamine hit. When we first
as not checking your phone actually releases the stress hormone cortisol. Impacts our everyday lives.
Key component in the brain that's involved in helping us to control
of the compulsion, but the acting out of the increase the obsession.
The mind doesn't wear out with use. It actually rusts with disuse. So oftentimes the people that I would be working with were people who didn't have an infectious condition or something like that, didn't have